You're listening to Humans in the Loop. We explore the systems that govern our working lives, how they're built, how they break, and who gets left behind, told through stories, satire, and the kind of perspective you get from living slightly out of sync. You can tell a lot about a company by how it says goodbye. Most exit interviews are just paperwork, a survey, maybe a polite conversation about what we could have done better. You leave, they file the notes somewhere, no one will ever read them. The point is, some collect a badge and a laptop and call it closure. Others ask a better question. What if leaving didn't end your story? What if it aimed it? This is Humans in the Loop. I'm Ezra Strix. Before we unpack what happened in that final conversation, a pause for a moment of breath, grounding, and, conveniently, gum. Don't go anywhere, back in a moment.
Mastix is a grounding gum designed for modern stress. Made from ancient mastic resin and powered by Core Cadence technology, it helps restore rhythm to your body through intentional chewing, steadily, calmly, one beat at a time. Chewing supports sensory regulation, reduces jaw tension, and helps counter the unconscious clench so many of us carry throughout the workday. Whether you need a quiet way to stim, a moment to recenter between calls, or just something to keep you anchored in your own body, Mastix meets you there. Choose from quiet peppermint, cedar clarity, fennel focus, or unflavored if you're masking through the day. Subtle flavors, real grounding. Mastix. Chew with purpose. Stay with yourself.
If you're still with us after that satirical gum ad, you might be our kind of person. And if you're a brand trying to reach thoughtful humans, the kind who think deeply, stim quietly, and occasionally reimagine entire systems, our audience might be your audience. And we're looking for real sponsors. Reach out through the contact form on our website to learn more. Today, an exit interview that didn't file away a person, it found them a place. Our guest is Martin, who spent 3 years in a role that rewarded stamina over sense-making, meetings over meaning, and then sat down for a conversation that changed the direction of his career without changing the badge on his lanyard. Our story is told in 5 acts. Act 1, the misfit pattern, when the job demands stamina over sense-making. Act 2, the better exit interview, how a cardboard box and a single question can reframe a career. Act 3, the rotations, a test run through the wrong rooms and the one room shaped like you. Act 4, the choice, stay or go, agency built into the exit itself. Act 5, the template, the practical blueprint hidden inside one person's almost goodbye, because sometimes a better question at the end becomes the start of a whole new system. Martin, welcome. Can you set the scene for us? What was it like coming into that room?
I'd already cleared my desk. You know that feeling? Everything in a box? Like I was on a TV drama with someone about to play soft piano music.
You brought the classic cardboard box, all ready to go?
Oh yeah. Succulent, mug, the pens I like, the whole kit.
And an assumption. This is over.
Completely. I even practiced my "it's been a privilege" speech in the elevator.
But the conversation started, strangely, it wasn't what you expected, right?
The HR lead, Yadira, didn't start with, "Why are you leaving?" Instead, she started with, "Tell me about the last time you felt energized at work." She asked, "When did work last feel like oxygen?"
Those are better questions. I'm curious about the answers.
So was she, leaning in, pen poised above her notepad. It was unreal.
Act 1, the misfit pattern. Let's rewind. Give us the pattern that made leaving feel inevitable.
I'm a systems person. I map stuff, dependencies, failure modes, weird little edge cases. My job? Endless stakeholder check-ins and quick wins. Can you just throw together a dashboard? Could you just hop on this 9 p.m. call with the vendor in Prague? I was always 2 moves ahead and 5 hours behind.
2 moves ahead in understanding, behind in time.
Right. People saw late and rigid. I felt miscast. Also, fluorescent lights. It's like, I'm trying to get stuff done. Meanwhile, the light's punishing me for something I didn't even do.
Let's name the neurodiversity pieces so they don't hide in the wallpaper. Time blindness. Sensory load. Preference for deep work and explicit communication. How often did the work let you be the version of yourself that does your best thinking?
Maybe 8 hours a week. I sneak to a quiet corner, do actual systems design, then sprint back to put out the fires.
8 hours of the right task carried a 40-hour week of the wrong environment. That ratio breaks people.
It was breaking me.
So you decide to leave. You bring the box, and Yadira asks about oxygen.
I told her about a crisis from year one, a supply chain integration nobody could untangle. I built a messy paper wall of arrows and sticky notes, and I loved it. I could see the fix.
And Yadira heard, not a performance problem, an ecosystem problem.
Yeah. She said, it sounds like you're in the wrong ecosystem, not the wrong company.
Then what?
She opened a document I'd never seen, Strengths and Frictions Canvas.
Act 2, the better exit interview. What was on the canvas?
There were 4 boxes. The first labeled When I'm at my best. The next was When I get stuck, followed by Conditions I need, and finally, Conditions I can't absorb. We filled it out like we were configuring a system.
Let's capture yours.
At my best, I defined mapping chaos, translating between tech and ops, writing this is how it breaks docs. Stuck, I outlined unbounded timelines, vague asks, meetings with no owner. Need contained quiet blocks, written decisions, soft lighting, 1 comms channel per project, and can absorb things like last-minute pile-ons, will circle back as a plan, fluorescent flicker, you know.
It's striking how practical that sounds when you say it out loud. Not personality quirks, not vibes, but operating conditions. Like any other system that needs specs to function.
Exactly. Then she asked, who uses that Martin here?
Because somewhere in this same building, there's a problem shaped exactly like you.
Apparently there were 3. She pinged Nathan in enterprise architecture, Julie in benefits, and Charles in learning and development. And all before the end of this meeting.
That's a radical reframe of exit. Not loss, but reallocation. Not a resignation. An internal mobility program with consent. And it makes you wonder, heading into season 2, why isn't this already the default?
Right? She also booked me a 2-week rotation, 1 week split across 2 teams, then a week with the best fit. And this was big. She set a baseline for accommodations during the rotation. No fluorescent rooms, no standing meetings, 0 written briefs.
Accessibility without permission for once.
Yeah, you said it.
Before we follow Martin into the land of laminated whiteboards and LampCore lighting, a quick detour through the 4th dimension. With a sponsor who redefines what a deadline can feel like by bending time, politely.
Deadlines are supposed to keep you on track, but for some of us, they're just a date on the calendar. Too far away to feel urgent, too close to feel safe. That's why we built Time Oasis. It learns your time blindness patterns, the dips, the surges, the last-minute flurry, and gives you an early deadline that feels just real enough to get you moving. And yes, you know it's lying to you, but that's the point. Because when the fake deadline arrives, you're ready, focused, already coasting toward the real one without the panic or the all-nighter. Time Oasis. Because sometimes the most productive thing you can do is believe a beautiful lie.
Now, if you've lost track of time, you're either using Time Oasis or working in learning and development. If you or your company has a product or service that helps humans work with, not against, their brains, we'd love to feature you. Sponsor an episode of Humans in the Loop and reach the people still trying to make work actually work. Let's get back to the part where Martin finds his people. Act 3, the rotations. Week 1, 2 teams, first stop, benefits.
They loved my failure modes, dogs, but wanted me in 4 daily stand-ups. Hard pass.
Great work, wrong cadence. That's the paradox. Your value can be obvious and still unworkable in the wrong rhythm. Next.
Learning and development, smart people, also constant quick pings. Teams was a virtual slot machine.
High novelty, low depth. A rhythm built for responsiveness, not reflection.
Yep. The third day, I wandered into enterprise architecture. Whiteboards, flowcharts, people who thought in maps. This is where Nathan handed me a mess, adding, "Our data integrations fail silently every third release, and we don't know why."
A problem shaped like you. Finally, an ecosystem match.
I asked for 2 4-hour blocks, a quiet room, and the system logs. By lunch next day, 3 patterns, 2 hypotheses, 1 fix.
What changed other than the task? Because it's never just the work. It's the context around it that decides whether you break or build.
The conditions. Nathan set decision rights in writing. We made Teams Calm Charter. Design in docs, discuss in 1 thread, decide in a short meeting, publish a decision. And no fluorescence. Lamps. Actual lamps.
Lamp core. Powerful and more than aesthetic. Lighting was a baseline signal. Your body won't be punished just for showing up.
I slept through the night for the first time in months.
And then came the question.
Would you like to stay?
Act 4, the choice. Let's pause on the ethics. This only worked because the exit had agency. No pressure to accept, no gratitude tax, no prove you deserve this.
Right. Yadira checked in separately. If you want to leave, we'll finalize it today. If you want to stay, we'll convert the rotation into a new role with the same level in pay.
Dignity baked in, not charity structure.
I stayed. We named the role Systems Reliability Architect. We wrote the first 90-day plan around how my brain actually works. Mondays and Tuesdays for deep design, Wednesdays for cross-team translation, Thursdays for cookies, but that's a different conversation altogether, Fridays for decompression and documentation.
A schedule aligned to a brain, not a calendar. What did it feel like to put the box down?
Like the show cut to the scene after sad music. Like oxygen.
This new schedule sounds delightfully specific. Specific is what makes it sustainable. Rhythm instead of grind. Design instead of drift. Speaking of design, this episode is supported by our fake sponsor, GridJoy, the bullet journaling system for people who live at the intersection of flexible work, executive dysfunction, and existential dread.
Here at GridJoy, we understand that some weeks are color-coded goal sprints, and some weeks are, why am I crying in the frozen food aisle again? GridJoy meets you wherever the meltdown finds you. GridJoy includes serotonin sparkle stickers, tiny holographic pats on the back that say, look at you, doing the thing. Task initiation warm-up zones, because sometimes you need a runway before the flight of productivity. A hydration tracker that gently lies. Sure, absolutely, that sip counted. Gold star, you liquid legend. GridJoy, because what you need isn't a system that works. You need one that forgives you when you don't. Start wherever you are, return whenever you remember.
If GridJoy sounds fake, that's because it is. But our listeners are real, and so are our sponsorship slots. If your brand supports thoughtful systems, inclusive design, or just really good lamps, sponsor an episode of Humans in the Loop. Now, back to Martin, who's just prototyped a future I wouldn't mind living in. Act 5, the template. For teams listening who want to copy-paste this into reality, here's the minimum viable playbook from Martin's story. Strengths plus frictions canvas in every exit. Trial rotations with baseline accommodations. No permission letters required. A communication charter before the first deliverable. Decision rights in writing. Role design by cognitive pattern, not generic job description. A stay or leave choice, with equal dignity either way. Did I miss anything?
One more thing. Lamp budget. I'm only half joking.
Lamp budget added.
Also, this wasn't charity. In 6 weeks, we cut integration failures by 40%. The business case becomes very obvious once you stop pretending brains are interchangeable parts.
I'm sensing some Season 2 energy. Not every goodbye has to be a loss. Sometimes leaving is just the system telling the truth. This isn't your ecosystem. Try over there. In Season 2, we're exploring more of these what if, why not futures, from inclusive interviews that shape roles to accessibility that ships by default. If you've ever felt like the problem was you, maybe the problem was the room. Last word?
Keep the box handy, not for packing, but for prototypes.
And if you're building an ecosystem where stories like Martin's don't sound rare, where exit interviews unlock redesign and accommodations aren't an afterthought, we'd love to partner with you, sponsor an episode of Humans in the Loop, and help us keep imagining systems that fit actual humans, especially the ones who think in maps.
This episode of Humans in the Loop, Better Than Goodbye, was written and produced by me, Christina Simmons. Human voice talent for this episode, Todd Ellis as Martin, who continues to thrive in his new role. AI host, Ezra Strix, who believes every exit interview should come with a lamp budget. Operations producer, Rana Cassidy. Sound engineer, Chad Simmons. If you liked this season's blend of satire and sincerity, Season 2 leans even more hopeful. What happens when we design work around the brains we actually have? Follow Looped In Humans on socials, subscribe wherever you listen, and share this episode with someone who's packing a box. If you like the direction the show is going with this episode, the best way to support the show is by leaving a rating and a review at ratethispodcast.com/loopedinhumans. You can also support the show on Patreon. We'll be taking a break from telling more of these stories until December, but don't worry. While you wait, we'll share candid, behind-the-scenes interviews about the show's creation, with loads of bonus content available for paid Patreon members. Stay with us for a sneak listen of Season 2's opener, How You Think.
What if your manager's first question wasn't what can you do, but how do you think? What if work started with your brain's blueprint before the job description, before the deadlines, before the first meeting invite landed in your inbox? In our Season 2 premiere, we meet someone who was hired the way you wish every hire happened, by designing the role around the mind that would do it. Because sometimes the smartest management move is to start with the operating manual. How you think? That's next time on Humans in the Loop after we take a little break. We'll be back with more stories in a few months.